NBA, though, before we get in the NFL next segment, as you heard Jake Madison right there. So we now have a clearer idea of what you actually got in this trade. Think about this, y'all. For a guy, Jrue Holiday is very good. Okay, he should have been on the All-NBA defensive team, arguably, again, this last year. He was first and second team the 2 years before. He's a 20-7 guy, so he's good on the offensive side of the ball as well. He's a leader. He's a great player. Despite all of this, I am still shocked at how much David Griffin was able to get for Jrue Holiday. And I think Jake hit the nail on the head. It's a bit of a perfect storm where the Pelicans had all the leverage. You had multiple suitors for Holiday. You have a Bucks team that is desperate to try to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. And the best way to do that is to add, superstar talent. And Jrue Holiday fits that mold. And so, let's talk about Jrue being a superstar, because I think that's almost an interesting conversation in and of itself, where a lot of people say he's not. And I think I'm inclined to agree, but I can't help but wonder if this added spotlight in Milwaukee on a winning team with Giannis, will Jrue finally get the respect that he deserves? Because we've played clips from the All the Smoke podcast, right, with Matt Barnes, and I'm forgetting who hosted with him, but I saw a montage that was floating around a couple of weeks ago where every episode they would ask everybody who's the most underrated player in the NBA, and Kevin Durant, almost everybody said almost to a man that it was Jrue Holiday. He was the common denominator answer. Well, now he's going to have his chance to no longer be underrated. He's going to have his chance to be properly rated now that he'll be playing on a team that's actually winning and going to be talked about and going to be in the headlines. So I'm very happy for Jrue to now be on a contender. I'm still shocked at what you got back. I mean, before we even get into the draft picks, let's talk about the players. Now, I don't know that the players stick, right? David Griffin could end up flipping both these guys, one of these guys, for more. But let's just look at the players as it stands now. And Eric Bledsoe, you get a lesser Jrue Holiday. Did y'all realize how close these two guys are, just statistically? I'm not talking about tangibles or anything else. Eric Bledsoe averaged 15, 5, and 5 last year. He was first team All-NBA defense in 17 and 18. He was second team, He was first team in 18-19, Eric Bledsoe was. He was second team All-Defense last season. We just mentioned Jrue Holiday. He was first team 3 years ago, second team 2 years ago, barely missed last year. So essentially, you have a player in Jrue that averages 3 more points, 3 more assists, but 2 more assists, but ultimately defensively has kind of the same output. So Eric Bledsoe is just a slightly lesser Jrue Holiday. And then you throw George Hill into the mix, who you may not realize, I certainly didn't until this trade came out, he led the NBA in three-point percentage last year at 46%. Who did he barely edge out in second? J.J. Redick at 45.3%. So if you don't move these guys, you all of a sudden you still maintain an elite defender in that backcourt with Eric Bledsoe, and now you add George Hill, another deadly three-point shooter to surround Zion with, which is exactly what you're looking for. And so maybe flip you guys, maybe you don't, but I like it from the player perspective. And that's not even getting into the draft picks. What you said, 3 first-round picks, was it 2 draft swaps? You're going to get an immediate first-round pick tomorrow at 24, but the real fascinating ones are down the road, like Jake was talking about, because of the bottom line, you need to understand, because of the amount of first-round picks you can give away, what Milwaukee already owns, and just basically all these kind of rules like Jake just laid out. There's a good chance that you don't see that first-round pick till 2025, and you may be saying, well, T-Ball, what the hell? How are we supposed to get excited about that? What's the point of that? Well, I think if you're a Pelicans fan, you should be excited about that because it's representative of everything that David Griffin has laid out until this point. He's talking about patience, talking about building culture over time, not skipping steps, right? He had to skip steps when he was building around LeBron. He's talking about building this thing for the ground up for long-term sustained success, something that is completely foreign to the Pelican fan experience, especially in the Dell Demps era, where it's a constantly shifting, reactive, let's leverage the long term, trying to have success in the short term, only you got neither. Well, now you have players that look like they help you in the short term. You add resources to the short term when now you have another first-round pick in tomorrow's draft, and you still button yourself up even longer term. Don't forget, you still have you have the 2021 first-round pick from the Lakers that I don't think you're going to get, because if they pick anywhere from 8 to 30, they'll retain that. So they will retain that. And then that becomes an unprotected first-round pick that you'll get in 2022. You have a 2023 pick swap from the Lakers. And then in 2024 and 2025, hopefully AD and LeBron have kind of gone their ways. You can choose which of those years you would like to pick swap as well. And so now you add in Bucks picks that far down the road where maybe you hope that Giannis Antetokounmpo is gone. And all of a sudden, these could end up being lottery picks if Milwaukee falls flat on the face, which it may, because they are leveraging their future to try to win a championship. And I don't blame them, but that is what they're doing. So it is really shrewd work by David Griffin, Trajan Langdon, Swin Cash, and everybody else in that Pelican front office. And to me, it is representative and it is fulfillment of the promises that were made when he laid out his vision for this franchise. So I will really miss Jrue Holiday, and I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm glad that he can finally be on a contending team and finally be afforded the opportunity to get the respect that he deserves, because he's been nothing but a great Pelican over the last 7 years, and him and his family and Lauren Holiday and their daughter. I'm glad everything worked out there. They will all be missed, but good times for the Pelicans. And honestly, I mean, I don't hate the trade for the Bucks. They probably gave up more than you would ever want to for Jrue, but I think Holiday makes him a better team. I don't know if they make him like even win a championship, because the East now suddenly looks crazy. I mean, the NBA is crazy, dude. Scott Kushner tweeted earlier that NBA offseason is more entertaining than 80% of the NBA season, and he might be right in a way. You got Kevin Durant out here creating, doing Kevin Durant things, creating another superstar, super soft Charmin team, as he now has James Harden demanding a trade out of Houston to Brooklyn, which, by the way, can you imagine a more toxic trio than James Harden? I mean, I guess what would be the only thing you could do if you threw Russell Westbrook into the mix? Is that the only thing that can make it crazier? I mean, you got Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, who Jordy read the Warriors book, Golden State book, and he has really talked about what a problem Kevin Durant was in that locker room. We all know what a problem Kyrie's been. I don't really view Harden as a locker room problem, but he definitely needs that ball, right? Like, it's just wild to think about that team being formed. And although they will be overwhelmingly good just out of sheer talent, I do struggle to see them winning championships because of the aforementioned toxicity. So NBA's wilder now. Oh, and Chris Paul joined the Suns. So there's that. Sam Presti. I mean, I had a whole write-up on Sam Presti that now we're not going to get to because we don't have time. But, like, that man knows how to run a front office. And what I love is what I'm seeing out of David Griffin reminds me a lot of what I've seen out of Sam Presti through the years. That's how you run a small market team. David Griffin, Trajan Langdon, also, he always gets left out. He is the GM. Congratulations to both of y'all. Excellent work. All right, when we get back, let's close the book on the NFL week that was Monday Night Football last night. Finished it off. Give you our takeaways from each game. And then Fletcher Mackel coming up at 9:30 to talk more about the Pels. This is OTBOT here on 104.5, 100.3, 94.7 ESPN.
OTBOT.